It's the DORK Podcast. Ryan David. It's the DORK Podcast. Hashtag. It's the hashtag DORK Podcast.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Hashtag Dork. My name is Rich Keefe. Davey Eyeballs is in Italy, and he didn't watch the show. So instead, we have Mac from the Mac and Goo program. Mac, how are you?
I'm doing well. Very happy to be here.
Great. We also have the long-anticipated return of one Adam Jones to the Dork Podcast. He of Jones and Keefe. Jones, how are you?
What's up, guys?
I think you were here. I think actually both of you guys did MTV Challenge episodes in the history of the podcast. So yeah, this is a good topic to be diving in on.
Yeah, my circle of reality TV watchers, like specifically competition shows, is shrinking by the year. Very few people.
Well, Jones still watches Challenge, but you said it's not even good anymore. Or you watch the All-Stars. Yeah,
it's bad. All-Stars is bad. I watched season 40 still, which wasn't great, but I still watch it. I like that. I like Big Brother. I like those shows.
Well, it's because of Challenge that I watched this show to begin with. So full disclosure, we'll do a quick little spoiler free on the Traitors. I love this reality show. I never saw season 1. I don't think I will see season 1. I watched season 2 because CT, Johnny Bananas, and Trishelle were in it. So I watched it. It also had a bunch of Bravo people that I recognized from all the shows my wife watches, and then a few other randos, including Deontay Wilder, who had one of the saddest exits of a reality show of all time.
Seriously.
But season 2 was incredible, and I couldn't wait for season 3. It's on Peacock. It's only 10 or 11 episodes. So I ripped it, and it's great. I highly recommend season 2 and 3. It's like a murder mystery, but you as the viewer know who the murderers are. The people in the house are trying to figure it out. Alan Cumming is an electric host, maybe the greatest host in reality television. How else would you sell this show? What else is the pitch?
I mean, to me, it's as simple as like, if you are chronically online or have been a reality TV fan for the last like 20, 25 years, they have such a good cross section of characters thrown on this show. And most of these people that made it onto reality TV are dummies. So watching them trying to play a game of strategy is fascinating. It's such good television.
Yeah.
It's
like I usually tell people it's like Clue, like murder mystery, like Clue. And then there's enough competition that like reels me in. It's not just Housewives, Vanderpump, which I'll watch those as well with my wife. I don't mind those shows either, but I like a competition show. So this has enough of that.
And this is funny because it takes people from Real World Challenge, Survivor, Big Brother, then Real Housewives of the OC. It always takes one like British dude. They had Lord Ivar on this season. They had a guy from Parliament the year before.
Nobleman.
Yeah. Below Deck, they had
Britney Spears' ex-boyfriend.
Zac Efron's brother. You're like, what is this show? Why are all these people on the show at the same time? So it's like 20. This season had 23 different people. And I bet you've recognized some of it. And it's also the way that the show is edited is so good because the whole idea is they're trying to sniff out who the killers are. And so you'll have these people in these confessionals and they're like, I know for sure it's fucking this guy. And you're like, it's not that guy. Like you are, everything you're saying is wrong. And so like that's what makes it good. So if you haven't seen it, highly recommend it. The rest of the way, we're going to do all spoilers. Right off the rip, one of the reasons that the show sucked me in the first time was because I was rooting for all those real world people. This cast only had one real world alumni, and that would be Wes. So going into this, or even as the show went on, who were you rooting for?
For me, so I'm a huge Survivor fan, and Jeremy is one of my favorite Survivor players, local guy, Cambridge firefighter. So I've always been a fan of his. I was looking forward to watching him. Wes, of course, as well. And then I was actually looking forward to Carolyn because she was on a recent season of Survivor, season 44, so within the last couple of years. And she was super annoying and messy on that show. So I knew she was going to be perfect for this show. So I was rooting for her from the jump.
So from the beginning, I like Wes. We just talked about how I like the challenge. Derek is legit one of the greatest Big Brothers players ever. He won a highly competitive season, tremendous strategy. He was like an undercover cop or a real life cop, but didn't tell anybody in the house. He was like sussing people out. So he was great on Big Brother. So I was rooting for those two. They both went out pretty early. So I kind of shifted to Carolyn, honestly, who I didn't know anything about. Not a big Survivor guy. I should get into Survivor, but I haven't. And as the season went along, I was rooting for her. And I think she was in a great spot to win the whole thing until late. But I found myself rooting for her as we kind of went along. A little bit of Boston Rob too, although he went out pretty quick.
Well, Carolyn bugged the shit out of me at the beginning, and the Traitors have a way of doing that. Like the Traitors, if you don't already like the person, I feel like you're going to end up disliking the Traitors more often than not. Carolyn grew on me though, and then it got to the point where I really disliked Danielle, and then so they were button heads. So then I ended up jumping on Carolyn's side, but she was just so odd that nobody suspected her of anything. She made the weirdest sounds. She makes the weirdest facial expressions. And I'm like, everyone's like, oh yeah, Carolyn's also in the house. It's like, no, she's one of the Traitors, but nobody sniffed that out. This season also did a really weird thing where they introduce everybody right off the rip, and they're standing there in front of this castle, and Alan's there. Oh, by the way, I guess they don't even live in the castle. I think that's all.
I did read that. Yeah, they go home.
They don't stay in there?
No, they go home at night.
Oh,
bullshit.
It's like Man vs. Wild.
Yeah, they're all in a Ramada. They all come in the next day wearing their outfits. And so they stand up there at the front, and Alan comes out, and then they have like a mystery person, and they're like, all right, somebody gets to choose. Do you want this person in the game or do you want him out? And then they Boston Rob takes his little mask off to reveal that it's Boston Rob, and they all stand there and they say no. Would you have stepped forward at that moment? Because what it would have been is you bring in Rob and you immediately vote somebody else out. Would you have done that?
I think it's a done game move because you're putting a target on both of your backs, and secondary to that, like, Rob would immediately stab you in the back, as you see later on in the season too. Like, he doesn't care, but like if you watch Survivor at all, like Rob basically plays the game like a mob boss. He's cutthroat, and like he obviously got married to someone from the show, but he plays with no remorse whatsoever.
Tom, with you, bad game move to bring him in, but like maybe the Survivor crew should have thought about it. Like maybe they should have been like, we'll team up, we'll bring him in. I know Carolyn was thinking about it. I'm with you, though. It's way too much heat to bring in somebody like that and make like a big game move like that. It's going to put a massive target on yourself, and you'll probably get banished pretty quick, I would think.
Yeah. Chris Scheim joins us now as well.
Hey.
We're shooting in.
What's up?
Scheim, question we asked the room, who were you rooting for this season?
I was rooting for Carolyn, to be completely honest, a lot of the time. Like, she was the best one. She was undoubtedly, I think in one of the like kind of like off-air recordings they did, like one of the Bobs was like seeing who the Traitors were, and he's like, fuck, she's so good. He's like, I never would have known. No. And it's true. She got screwed because Danielle sucks.
Yes.
Disagree. She screwed herself. She screwed herself. Carolyn absolutely fucked herself on the chess challenge thing. And I get what she was doing, because these people, the other thing we need to talk about is the cash prize for this is insane. Like, listen, I'm no money bags, but they got $50,000 each.
As much as I like the show, as a game, and as the prize money goes, a lot of things should change. It's like there's so many things that go on in the game, and you're like, this is kind of stupid.
They're trying to bank money the whole time. They eventually get it up to $200,000, and then 4 people win. So $50,000. Like, after taxes, they each walk away with like $25,000.
Yeah, that was a mistake though by the Traitors. We can get more into that, but like that, I mean, CT and Trishelle in season 2 did that right, where they're just like, I think the way Wes put it is he's like, I would have been slitting throats. Maybe if you guys watch the after show or the reunion. And that's what CT and Trishelle did. They're like, we're getting MJ the fuck out of here, and we're going to give ourselves an extra 50K, 75, whatever it was. And they easily could have done that, and they did it. So I think they screwed that up.
There was no gamers left, and that's probably why. The end was for just like normies. No, but going back to Carolyn, on the one hand, I trusted her, or I respected her because she was trying to win money. She's like, guys, like the whole point of this is to win money. So like, I can't just sit here and like completely throw away $10,000 at a clip. But she did way too much on that thing. And she was like, when she's like, Sandoval's like, it's me. And she's like, it's Dylan. And then they were like, even afterwards, I think it was Dolores was like, yeah, you were really on it with Dylan. And she's like, God damn it, why did I do that?
Speaking of Sandoval, low key, he was another person I was rooting for. He's so dumb. Like bad and dumb that he's so easy to root for.
So I was aware of him like on the internet prior to this. I had never seen Vanderpump Rules. And I know he's very hated by a lot of people. I fucking loved him. Every moment he was on screen, he was great TV.
He was electric. When he got eliminated, he's like, they knew who the toughest like male was left, like who like the biggest.
He knew I was onto them.
He's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm just so surprised, like how good I was at this game. And you're like, oh my god.
I saw Dylan was doing some postseason interviews with like I forget which outlet, and he said that the mission where the dolls were playing songs backwards.
So good.
Sandoval went through a whole vocal warm up prior to that mission, and then there was a medic on standby, and he requested cough drops from the guy. So they had to sit there for 20 minutes and watch Sandoval do a vocal warm up prior to that.
He's so extra.
He was so good, and then he was just playing a different game, which was my favorite thing. Like him and Dolores, like their fight, they'd be like these great like back and forth at the round table. Like it's this guy, and I'll tell you why this, that, and the other thing. He's like, my vote's for Dolores. You're like, no, what? We're not talking about Dolores right now. And then she's like, I'm voting for Sandoval. And you're like, you guys have got to take a hike. They were terrible. But no, Carolyn, I think if Carolyn survived the chess game, I think she wins the whole thing.
Probably.
Yeah, it really felt like she was playing the best game and no one was on to her. She just like had that bone to pick with Danielle and kept getting crazy about Danielle coming after her. But I actually kind of thought that Danielle had petered out a little bit and she had kind of maybe given in to her and Carolyn at the end. But Danielle so I have watched all 3 seasons now. Danielle by far is my least favorite player of any of the 3
It's
seasons.
not even close.
So frustrating.
Can't stand her.
Oh.
So we were all rooting against her, obviously, because she was terrible.
Yeah.
I think there's a chance Carolyn was the best trader that I didn't watch the first season. I think she was really trending towards being the best trader that I had seen in the last 2 seasons. Like, she went pretty far. I know Danielle went farther than her in terms of round tables, but I think she's playing a really good game and she screwed up that chess challenge. But yeah, Danielle made herself very hateable, which is weird because on Big Brother, I found her to be pretty likable, but she was terrible on this show.
I also didn't understand Danielle's plan. So obviously Boston Rob.
I don't think she had one.
Game. No, she didn't. But Boston Rob went in there. And so also they bring Boston Rob, Wes, and Derek into the game. And if those 3 weren't in the game, it also would have been kind of a snooze of a season. Like you needed these guys in there. And also kind of funny, they went out in order, kind of like in the middle of the season, like bang, bang, bang. But Boston Rob going at Bob the Drag Queen, which was the highlight of the season for me. Like that episode 4 roundtable was as intense as anything this whole show has ever had. It was incredible. But it kind of raised the flags on traitor crime, which became a theme during this thing. Yep. But my question is, Danielle had this fucking crazy thing where she was like, Boston Rob's turning on us. I don't want him in the turret. So I'm going to turn on Carolyn to get somebody else in to then get Rob out. I'm like, what is that process? That made no sense to me.
All she needed to do was talk to Carolyn about getting Rob out and be like, look, Rob is dangerous for our game. We need to get him out. Let's work together. And if they do that, and instead of throwing Carolyn's name all over the place for no reason, they probably make it even farther.
Yeah, they probably could have. I don't know if they win the game together, because once you get down to the very end, I think it's, now again, I've only seen 2 seasons, but it's pretty difficult to be a traitor right off the rip all the way to the end.
And that's like, awesome. There's like a whole thing of strategy here that I think Pilot Pete stumbled upon in season 2 that they haven't really seen through yet, where like Rob was so obviously a traitor, as was Parvati in season 2, that you're almost better off keeping them around knowing that they're not going to get replaced. So they should have actually probably kept Rob around as long as they could, both the traitors and the faithful, because you could just vote him out at the end of the game. Because you're really costing yourself there. Because if one gets out, you're probably getting another one in, and then you're starting from square one.
Yeah.
No, so that's a good way of thinking about it. Like from Carolyn and Danielle's standpoint too. Like everybody's on to Boston Rob. Let's keep him, and when we need to take the heat off ourselves, we can take the heat off ourselves. That's like a pretty good way of thinking about it. Who won season 1? A traitor?
Therese.
Yeah,
she was the best trader. She's the best trader that's been on the show so far.
So season 1 was 50% just random people, 50% like reality TV people. And Suri is one of the better Survivor players that's ever been on Survivor. She's never won. She's kind of gotten screwed a couple times, but as like a strategy and a people person, she's great. So she wins in the finale by tricking 2 faithful. They think she's a faithful. Nice. They all throw green, and the reveal is fantastic. Amazing. So the season itself is kind of slow, but the finale is unbelievable.
Well, if a traitor's going to win, that's what has to happen, right? It has to be like real slow and boring, but then at the end, the finale is just like great. I would imagine that's how it has to go.
there were two traitors at the end in season 1, and she like threw him under the bus, and she's like, yeah, like we're all faithful, like framed him up to a T, to the point where he didn't even like go through the voting. He just withdrew himself.
She like bullying him out of the game. Basically, it was unbelievable.
Yeah,
nice.
And then
that's what we call a Raycroft.
Yeah, when it's revealed she's a traitor, the two faithful are. I've never seen sadder people in my whole entire life.
I love it.
Never.
Damn,
They couldn't believe it.
Nice.
That's really good. Yeah, well, Brittany almost made Dylan quit this season. Like he was not ready for that at the end. I'm like,
that
dude,
was
you have good
awesome.
points, and you're right. Like, just go with that. And he's like, I was not prepared for that. He's like, this was not good. He's like, at one point, he's like, Jesus Christ. Like he didn't know.
It was so tough this season, though, for the Traitors, because every traitor was an alpha and every single faithful was a beta. And so people just learned that it's like, oh, if you get aggressive at the round table, you're probably a traitor. We'll vote you out and we win.
It's true. All the strong personalities got voted out.
Yeah.
Well, that's what happened too to Wes. So Wes got voted out because all like the betas, to Scheim's point, were just like, this guy's scaring me.
I'm gonna follow Rob.
Right. Like I'm terrified of him.
Wes fucked that up though, because he was playing it like the challenge where he's like, all right, you have to see me in an elimination. Like, I don't take threats well. And then they're like, well, we'll just vote you out. There is no elimination. Like, you're
and they even gave him an out at the round table and he doubled down on it.
Yeah.
He fucked that up. Those guys came in, but Wes also changed the game because all the non-game players were so blown away by Boston Rob and just like in awe of it. Even Dylan. Dylan had quite an arc this season. He was like good, sniffed out Bob the Drag Queen, then fell in love with Boston Rob and was way off base for like 8 episodes and it was really good at the end. But they all fell in love with Boston Rob and they're all impressed. And there's that great scene with Lord Ivar and and Wes is like, well, how would you know for sure it's a traitor? And he's like, you couldn't. And he's like, unless you were also a traitor. And he's like, what?
Well, no,
he's like, no way. And then he started telling other people that. Like, he's like, what? He's like, he was a traitor. And you're like, Jesus. Then,
Ivar was so bad. He like
won. He's not bad. He's the best. He won.
Yeah, apparently. The British guy from season 2, way better, greater sign than
what was his name?
Ivar.
John, I think it was.
John, yeah. That guy was good.
Better than Ivar.
Yeah, at the end there. So you obviously you end up with Gabby, Dylan, Ivar, and Dolores. If I didn't dislike Ivar, he hitched his wagon at Dylan, which was good. I ended up loving Gabby by the end of this. I had never seen her or anything. Yeah. It felt like at first she was just like a bimbo, but I feel like everything was intentional. Like she played an unbelievable game.
It's just her voice. Her voice sounds so dumb, but she's actually really like in the round table when she's like, yeah, no, I'm not stupid. I never said that. And then her line about Ivar just being another person to make the tea, outstanding.
She smoked Danielle though in that back and forth, and that was because me and Jones would talk about it all the time. Like after the episodes, I'm like, oh my god! As soon as they got rid of like Boston Rob, Wes, and Derek, you're like, who the fuck is even less to root for? And then she came on super strong, and had all these good points. And you're right, because you're like, she was hanging out with Nikki Bella and Chriselle, and you're like, they don't even know what game they're playing or what planet.
They call themselves the Bambies,
right?
But then when Danielle's like, I voted for Boston Rob twice, she's like, so did I. And you're like, what? You're like, she just had like an answer for everything that she had. So I was by the end actually rooting for Gabby. That's a good point.
She did a couple times too. Like she dimed Danielle out to Caroline. Like she was kind of dropping information to people for them to use, so she didn't stand out at the round table.
Well, the craziest thing, she had like a really, really good thing. What was the secret thing? They had to like write all the names in like a book in that secret room. What was that? And she like stumbled on it. Remember, she stumbled on everybody
in the armory.
It was two. It was Carolyn and Danielle were coming out of the bookshelf, and she saw him and left. And then we were like, "How come you don't follow that thread?" And it was like 4 episodes later. She was like, "I remember this."
Yeah, she sat on that for a long time, but she ended up bringing it out at a pretty good point in time, where like that was some good intel that maybe didn't make sense in real time, or she thought maybe it was nothing in real time that she brought back that ended up being pretty useful. So she was smart. I mean, Dylan was obviously smart. The other two who won it felt like they were kind of along for the ride.
They were there. Was it Sam? Who had the idea at breakfast that Sandoval screwed up? So Sam had this idea out of nowhere where they had that one face-to-face murder. And so Chriselle ended up being the one that was face-to-face murdered, but everybody else just would go and see Alan. And obviously Carolyn wouldn't have, or the Traitors wouldn't have. And they're like, well, just every time somebody comes in, be like, what was Alan wearing? And then Sandoval's sitting next to him. He's like, yeah, like the kilt and like the fucking hat. You're like, dude, what? We have a thing going here. And he like didn't get it.
Which was brilliant because
So good.
Sam didn't say one good thing all season, and all of a sudden he comes out with the best theory of the season. You're like, oh, he's actually paying attention here.
And then he got killed. And then he got killed off.
Yeah,
The other thing I would feel like if I played this game, I'd have to remind everybody of all the time is that you don't get to pick whether you're a traitor or a faithful. The argument that I could never be a traitor. Yes, the fuck you could. You joined this show. I hate that. And they must have said that like a dozen times. And she's like, I don't have it in me to be a traitor.
Not in my heart.
Like, you don't have a choice.
Right.
So
I think you have to remind people that you're playing a game because the way some of them talk is insane. Or the other argument that I hate is they're like, well, this is what so-and-so does in real life. So like they lie. Like that was the argument for that guy, John. Remember one of the housewives was saying that in season 2. She's like, well, he like lies for a living. So he's probably a traitor. And you're like, it's got nothing to do with that. What are you talking about?
it's also, I feel like sometimes, and maybe it's just the editing, but I feel like nobody, like half the time, nobody pays attention. Like it's like, but they said one thing and then completely did another thing. Like, how does this not raise any red flags to anybody? And even like, I think Alan Cumming was on like Jimmy Fallon or something. And he was talking about how everybody was getting ready to vote in like a Boston Rob debate. And he's just like, Boston Rob is so clearly a fucking traitor. He's like, I don't understand how people don't do this. And he's like rolling his eyes, and the producers have to like get in his ear and be like, Alan, your face. It's like, I don't understand. Some people to me just blow me away with how
that's great,
how much they just don't pay attention.
And like, it almost felt like this season was stacked in order for the Traitors to win, and they just fumbled the bag so poorly,
Big time,
because there was so much traitor on traitor crime. But like, I felt like the order of the murders from the Traitors was like perfect, because there was no real rhyme or reason to it until there was too much traitor on traitor crime. And then like once Rob went, then dominoes started to fall. But they were murdering people and no one had a fucking clue. And all anyone could talk about for the first half of the season was the coffins, the 3 people in the coffins.
Oh my God.
Did not
So
mention the 3 people that got brought into the game after the fact. I would have immediately been sus to Rob, Derek, and Wes, because they, for sure, one of them was going to be a traitor. And they like didn't talk about that at all.
So they were obsessed with the coffin theory. So to defend Carolyn, what she should have said at Roundtable, going back to the chess challenge. So they remember they had to come up with the answers. So she threw herself in for one of the answers, like who's the person that they least respect or whatever the hell it was, or like is the like they least listen to. Wouldn't you have been like, hey guys, why would any traitor put themselves into like a thing? Because everybody voted out all the coffin people. Like she should have hammered that point, like how dumb that would have been to do that. I don't know if it would have swayed them. Because that's the other thing, like who you're trying to sway sometimes. It's just like Lord Ivar's eyes are just like glazing over. And he's just like, you can have the greatest argument you want. They've still.
He's just looking at Dylan like, Dylan, what are we voting today?
Well, there's that. And there's also like, you know, at a certain point, when it was 6 people left, 5 people left, whatever it was, it basically did turn into like a votes game, which that is very Big Brother, where it's just like, if the house didn't flip back on Danielle, she was going to have the votes. It was going to be Dolores who wasn't going to vote against her. It was going to be Brittany who didn't vote against her. And like, that was a pretty pivotal time for ultimately them to what looked like it was going to be a dead even vote. Yeah. And then for Brittany to change her vote, like that was big, because I think Danielle might have won, or Danielle and Brittany might have won, if they were able to swing that vote away from Gabby.
I think the worst move of the season is probably Danielle picking Brittany, because Brittany 100%. Was already in her pocket. She already had Dylan. That number. And with 7 people left, I think is when she gets recruited, maybe 8. You needed another number. You couldn't just double down on the person you already had. And that's really what ruined the game for it. And even Brittany kind of flipped it on its head once Danielle was out. She almost saved it for herself, but I don't know. At that point, it was
Brittany even said at the end of the episode, whatever it was, maybe 8 or 9, when she was just like, I got a letter in the thing. Like, she's like, I don't know if I'm being recruited or whatever. She's like, I can't beat Danielle because that wouldn't be very smart.
Yep. It's just like, if you just play the numbers game, it's like, all right, I get Dylan. That means I automatically get Dylan and Ivar's votes. I have my own, and I have Brittany's, because me and Brittany are in an alliance already. It's like there's 4 votes. That's half the house already, and you can just start picking people off left and right.
Well, like, was it season 2 was Pete given the option? I can't remember. Was it a shield, or did Pete have the option to like go with the Traitors and chose not to?
They had the option to him,
right? Yeah. And he declined. This wasn't you're going to get murdered if you don't accept. So like there was no choice for Ivar or Dylan or anybody like that. And that is what going with Brittany made it way too obvious.
So stupid.
Yeah, that was a huge miss on her part. I also feel like Dolores would have been easy to vote out at the end, just because you would have been like, her votes are insane. Like I only watched the first 10 minutes of it, but the reunion, even Andy Cohen, like right off the rip, he's like, your votes made no sense. He's like,
I think they said she only voted right like 2 out of 10 times or something like that.
He's like, oh, like I hated Sandoval. It's like, it wasn't just Sandoval. Like you had
you voted for Ivar like 5 times too. Like,
and that's the thing is like Ivar, like, this is just shows you the difference in like the people. But like if you were Ivar, if Ivar was any other person, there's no way he's sharing the money with Dolores. He'd keep throwing the fucking bag and be like, get her out of here. Like
that was stunning that they let Dolores they kept her at 4. Like if you're talking game move and thinking back to CT and Tricell in season 2, like I was floored that they all threw green with 4 left there.
I did think Dolores was going to throw red.
Yeah, I thought someone was going to.
Me too.
At the very least, like Dolores, it was almost like MJ last year, where like she just didn't even really deserve to be sitting there, you know?
No. If Dolores, because I think the way they edited it, Dolores was the last one to throw. So maybe they were sort of building the anticipation, like maybe she'll be the last one to do it. If she threw red, do you think the other 3 would just vote her out? Or do you think they would have been? Yeah, probably.
I think so.
Well, Dylan and Ivar were going to vote together regardless. So like you knew it wasn't going to be one of them.
But they still had like a little doubt on Gabby, I think.
I think so. Yeah, it's true.
They should have. That's what they should have done. They should have ganged up on the girl.
Well, no, they knew Gabby was. They knew Gabby was faithful because of Brittany being the seer.
The seer.
And Brittany was like, "Yeah, she's faithful."
Oh yeah.
So if you vote anybody out, you vote Dolores out.
Yeah, that seer thing is pretty interesting, and I wonder if at the end of the day, Brittany obviously doesn't want anybody else to get it and ask her, but she probably wanted somebody else to get it and ask somebody else. Like, just stay out of it.
I think she had to win because, like, if somebody else sees you as a traitor, you're fucked. But like that was like a catch-22 where it's like you didn't really have an option on what to say.
The only way out, like, if somebody picks you and finds out you are the traitor, it's like, well, they're the traitor. Like, I'm not a traitor. I'm clearly a faithful. Like, and then it's just a he said, she said.
Yeah.
Well, that was where I also felt like at that point, Gabby had built up so much confidence in her game that she was because she still voted for Brittany at that next round table.
Yeah.
So maybe picking Gabby was the mistake there. Maybe going for Dolores or Ivar would have been better because they're more easily influenced.
Yeah.
Now, I guess if there's 2 traitors left, I mean, you're kind of got a bullseye on you regardless, but do you pick the other traitor and you're like, yeah, we're both faithful? Like, is that the play? Or
I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like it's similar to the
because even Dylan sniffed that out because he even said to Ivar, he's like, yeah, well, Gabby and Brittany could both be
So she basically got blamed just for being a part of that.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, no, that is definitely true. All right, so the show rips through and they vote off all these people, or all these housewives basically, like Dorinda, and they have these crazy missions at the front that it's like, I still don't really get that one where they're on the boat and they're like, if you get off, like you could be murdered, and if you stay on, like you can't. Like, who the fuck is getting off of that raft
for an extra 20 grand?
Right.
Like, it made no sense. I don't really get that.
And knowing you get the opportunity to make it all up at the end anyways.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
they give you an opportunity to earn like everything you didn't get.
Yeah, no, that's true. So this is the order of eliminations. When Dorinda was murdered, Wells, who I don't even remember, got banished. He got voted
bartender from Bachelor in Paradise. I was sad about that.
Yeah, he's married to the real skinny daughter from Modern Family.
How about that?
Yeah,
Sarah Hyland.
Yes,
yeah,
that's her name.
Good. He's got a good life going on. He's good.
He's fine. Yeah. Chanel got murdered. Housewife.
Yeah, it got
I remember her.
Tony got banished and Jeremy got murdered. So we got these back-to-back Survivor guys. You thought maybe Bob would have sort of like a alliance of sorts.
Yeah, that was so. Tony is one of two-time winners of Survivor. He's like clearly a gamer. That for me made no sense from Rob because he was going to get taken out by people at some point. You might as well try to keep that Survivor alliance together. Well, so I think that was the start of Rob's downfall.
And keep a bunch of like other big gamers around you.
Yeah, like shields.
You get down exactly. You keep a shield around you instead of being like, I'm one of the few gamers left. Like when it went Wes, Derek, Boston, it was like it was going to be Boston Rob. There was no one left.
Yep.
Unless you feared Brittany and Danielle.
coming in that way as like a 3 guys that are like all good at their shows, kind of tough. Like when 2 of them go and they both say they're faithful, like you have no chance.
Right.
Obviously one of them. And even if they're not, it's a theory you have to kind of go down. Yeah, so after Tony and Jeremy, so Jeremy, this is where it sort of starts the was Jeremy in the box?
Jeremy was in the box.
Jeremy was in the box.
Sierra, and
Nikki Bella, right?
Nikki, that's right.
Yeah, so they smoked them out. So Bob the Drag Queen is a traitor, gets banished. Oh, also this season, 4 traitors. That's the most at one time, right? I don't know about season 1, but season 2 never had 4 in the turret at once.
No, and that's why it felt like I was kind of getting annoyed because they were clearly stacking the deck for the traitors to be successful.
Yeah.
But I guess maybe the casting directors and the producers were like, these people are so crazy, they're going to fuck it up. And they did. The best part of this season was the traitors arguing and the traitor back and forth.
Without a doubt.
It was great. But that'd be one thing I'd also be talking a lot about in the house, I think, is like, all right, we already voted out 4 traitors. Like, how many more fucking traitors could there be?
Right,
I guess I mean, at that point, maybe your mind would be going crazy, but I'd be like, there's probably only 1. Like, how can there be that many more? Robin, also a housewife. She gets murdered after the great vote with Bob the Drag Queen. Then Nikki Bella gets voted out. There was no real reason to vote her out. Wes was admittedly terrible in this.
That was another one that you said where it's like, well, she gets in character like for a profession, and I'm on to you, and that's why she went out. Yeah.
Well, and that was the start of the coffin theory, wasn't it? Because she was one of the ones in the coffin. Yeah.
Yeah. So she was in trouble there. Bob H from the Biggest Loser.
Yeah,
that's right.
That was a bummer.
I forgot about him.
Loved him.
Me too. He was very forgettable. And then you go on this run of Derek, West, Derek, Boston, Rob, and you're like, damn it.
That killed the season right there, I think.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think the best episodes were probably like 4, 5, and 6. It was like very middle. It's probably where it was at its best. Chriselle gets murdered. She was useless. Ciara gets banished. I like Ciara, but that's
great.
Not for game reasons.
She paid a young Boston Rob plenty of comments in the reunion.
Oh, really?
I saw that. She liked a young Boston Rob for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sam gets murdered, then Carolyn, then Sandoval, and then they go traitor, then the 4 winners. So it is kind of like a lame kind of finish. If you guys were on this show, would you rather be a traitor or a faithful?
A traitor all day.
Yeah. Is it easier to win though as a traitor?
No.
Okay, so it's harder to win. I mean, you would get the money all to yourself, so there is that.
But I like the idea of solving a murder mystery, though, which you don't get if you're a traitor.
I want to gaslight people all day.
True.
I will light you like a lamp.
I would want to be a traitor for sure. I think the traitors going forward have to be like, guys, we can't be murdering. Like, they have to go in with like a pact and be like, we can't murder each other. As much as we're going to want to throw each other under the bus, it puts too much heat on the whole group if we do that.
100%.
Yeah, that's a good point, too, because if you look at that boot order, after Boston Rob goes, the strongest personalities there are Carolyn and Danielle. So they were going to stand out either way, whether they were traitors or not. So, like, that boot order really fucked them.
And when you look at the first 2 seasons, like a lot of the time, they didn't attack the other traitors. It's when the other traitors were clearly getting thrown out by other people. It's like then they jumped on and they voted with the group, but they never really kind of like attacked the other traitors.
Mm-hmm.
I think if it was a group of 20 people that I knew, I'd have a better chance as a faithful just to sort of fucking figure it out. And
that's a good point too, because if
it was all strangers, I think I probably could be a traitor. They wouldn't know any of my tells or anything. They'd be like, "Oh, this guy's just fucking kind of loud." And like,
if I know anything about the 4 of us here, I feel like amongst our friend groups, we would very early be voted out by everyone.
This son
of a bitch is gone.
What are you doing?
There's a board game like this. Like it's my friends and I have been playing it for years. It's called. So I think the name has changed to become a little bit more PC, but it was originally called Secret Hitler. And the point is, no, I'm serious. And so the point is,
it's a good name change.
Yeah, and so like, it's a group of people, and the goal is to like theoretically, you want to get. There's like the fascists versus the pacifists.
Sure, right?
Yeah, we get
and the fascists want to put get Hitler voted as chancellor. And like either you take turns being the president and like electing people and stuff. It's great.
You're going to have problems, just like everything else. But stay positive and stay strong.
Dude, that reminds me of this. Must have been 5 years ago, Scheim, when it was me and Dale, and we were talking about death pools. This is on the radio in Boston. We're talking about death news.
Not one of my finer moments.
No. And so me and Dale are talking about it. And then I'm like, of course, like, Scheim, you ever been in one of these? He's like, well, yeah. Actually, yeah. He's like, every year. I'm like, yeah, who you taking? He's like, I mean, every year I take Bill Russell. It's like, Jesus.
It's a true villain move.
I took Lenny Clark a couple times too.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Dale didn't know what to do, and we're like, all right, we're gonna go to break.
You must have been furious when
pivoted
Lenny
out of that.
Clark dropped like 100 pounds.
Oh
Yeah, it was tough.
You gotta sell that
New
stock.
strategy.
You gotta get rid of that.
Well, it's hard when other people are taking Betty White every time. It's like it's the oldest person I could think
Well,
of.
dude, what was the game that we played for a while? Like on our phones that there was like the murder mystery?
Oh, Among Us.
Among Us.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
Among
This?
Us.
Yeah, that's fun too.
That was
Oh,
kind of fun because then you get in the chat afterwards and like, what the fuck were you doing? Like, well, you knew what I was doing. I was
doing the leaves.
I was over here cleaning stuff. Like, oh yeah, no, I saw him cleaning stuff.
I was sorting the rocks.
That's
I
not
loved
a
that
thing.
game. That game was a
Then you get voted out.
great time.
I would love to do this. Davey's wife was actually like looking into like you can basically play like a speed round of this,
Yeah.
like, of Traitors, because like you're not going to ever have a time where
Awesome.
you get like 11 big breakfasts like the next day to
Right.
actually play the game. But like every hour or so, there's like an elimination. You could probably do it in a night, maybe a weekend or something.
Well, yeah, I've seen a couple TikToks, like people like will rent out like an Airbnb with like 12 friends,
Yeah.
and they'll go and they'll just play for like a weekend.
It sounds awesome.
Yeah,
Oh, Jason in the chat saying Werewolf. I've never played Werewolf. Is that the same thing?
I think so. Yeah, it's similar.
All right.
That's the PC
Better
name.
name.
One thing
probably
I
better
forgot to
name.
mention that absolutely killed me was when Sandoval was trying to make the case that women are better traders.
Oh,
and he
so
says
good.
cheaters.
Amazing.
Cheaters.
Unbelievable.
You're like, dude,
So
that's
good.
why
Digging
you-
himself a hole.
The whole room was like, whoa, come on.
I was disappointed, and it's probably because of the way DeAndre Wilder sadly checked out of the game in season 2. There was
I was
no
so sad.
athletes. I mean, there was Nikki Bella, who is a athlete, but I mean, like, there was no like professional athletes. Anybody for season 4? I haven't heard any rumors for season 4. Is there anybody from any of these shows that you would definitely want to see in?
I got a wish list. Hear me out.
Okay.
So from the challenge, I think Devin and Kyle would both be fantastic. Big personalities. They're funny. They'd play along with the whole.
Dude,
the
Devin
whole
would be
thing.
great. Devin's one of my favorites, like of like the new wave of guys. He's
I
probably,
think
like,
they'd
newer
work
than
really
more.
well. I don't know if they have like the big enough personalities, but then again, Britney Spears' boyfriend was on this season, so
Right.
what are you gonna do?
No, but I think they need to tap into that market. That was, I mean, especially with the success of CT and Trishelle.
Mhm.
I would honestly, they brought that girl back twice from Below Deck. Bananas should
Okay,
get,
she's
Yeah.
great.
dude. Bananas should get another crack at it.
Yep.
Yeah, he was on one episode.
Like Cara Maria should be on it.
Yeah, that'd be a good one too.
And then like
she'd
I'm with you,
dress up.
Devin.
The other name I had too was, I think he's on the challenge now. He was also on The Bachelor. Blake.
I don't know, Blake.
I don't know Blake.
Like
either.
Portals.
No, not Blake Bortles.
Like
I'd
Shelby.
be cool with that as an athlete.
Blake Bortles would be. I was just ripping darts.
Couple Survivor players. Tyson, huge personality. He'd be.
Oh, I
great
know
with
Tyson.
strategies.
Tyson did a challenge season.
Yeah,
That
he was
good.
on USA season 1.
Yeah.
He'd be really good. This character Q, who is a psychopath, was on Survivor 46. He'd just be like a pipe bomb into the whole situation. He'd be fun.
Nice.
And then I have some randoms from across, reality TV. This one I stole from Reddit, so I can't take credit for this. Spencer Pratt would be A+ on this show.
Oh, good one.
Yeah,
That would
dude,
be really
they
good.
need like another Sandoval.
And they're in the news.
Yep.
They're in the news, so that would be good.
Great. Yeah, their house burned down, so he's back. He's relevant.
I think from Big Brother, believe it or not, they got the 2 best Big Brother players ever. They got Derek and Dan Giesling, who last year was a bad trader, was amazing on Big Brother. So maybe Big Brother doesn't lend itself very well to this show. You would think it does as like a social, political, like game move kind of show. But those are the 2 best, I think, in the history of Big Brother. And they both did pretty bad.
I'd also like to see someone from Jersey Shore on this show. I don't care who it is. Anyone
Throw
from that
Snooki
cast.
in here. Just toss her in.
Snooki, Vinny, Situation, any of them would be great.
Good call.
And
Can
then
they do anybody from like the Surreal Life and get like Bridget Nielsen and Flavor
Vanilla Ice back, Rob Van Winkle,
Vern Troyer.
Another one that's a popular casting on the internet is Scott Disick. He'd be good as well.
Oh yeah, that is a good call. Yeah, just trying to think of like reality. What about somebody from like Jackass? Get like
that would be
Steve-O?
great, too.
Steve-O or Pontius or something like that.
Yeah.
It'd be good.
Both wild boys.
Just the Wild Boys.
Would there be any athletes that would have success? Like clearly Deontay Wilder, not the right choice.
He didn't. No, they shouldn't have picked him.
They could do like a Blake Griffin or something.
What if you got like Sean Merriman?
Sean Merriman would be good.
Psycho.
Yeah, that would work too.
Front of the show, Sean Merriman.
Yep.
We had him on.
I have his jersey.
That'd be good.
Lights
Jermaine Wiggins.
That'd be amazing.
Can you imagine Wiggins?
Those roundtables would be electric.
He would just be so fucking confused.
It'd be no, but he'd actually be the best at it because he'd be so sure it was somebody, and he'd be like, "Dude, there's nothing there,"
and it'd be flabbergasted when he was lying.
And they'd be like, guys, didn't see that coming, and then. But it wouldn't break his confidence. He'd be right back on the next guy. Like, 100% is this guy. Like, let's get him. Yeah, that's great.
Mac Jones is looking for a job. He could probably do it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, hopefully they turn this around pretty quick because it was great. Any final thoughts? Anything we didn't hit on here for Traitors season 3?
I would love to see them either incentivize voting Traitors out or just like change the money structure of it or have the challenges mean a little more, just something surrounding money and incentivizing things a little bit more.
They got to get a bigger purse. I mean, the show's so popular now; it's becoming like a joke, like how little the prize money is for a show that's pretty popular. I think, like you see memes and people talking about it all the time. It's always like popping up high on Peacock when you go on there. Like I think it's doing well, and it's sad that that's the money.
I think I just saw, by the way, in the latest British season that's going to be come out, Scream's own Courtney Cox got casted in the British season.
Oh, hell yeah. I'll watch it.
Is the British version good?
I haven't watched it yet, but I probably will.
Why is she in the British version?
I don't know.
Okay.
She's the only American in there.
I'll watch it.
A token American, just like this one is the token British guy. Got it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
right.
true. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah,
maybe they did. They pluck one person from Hollywood.
Yeah.
Here's Courtney Cox. That'd be good. Jones, anything else?
I mean, I would try to, if I'm the Traitors, this isn't like a show direction or anything like that. If I'm the Traitors, I just do what I said earlier. I would really lean into like, guys, we are on the same squad here. Like, I know that's hard to do, but if you watch the last season, and I feel like most of the people on this show, at least the gamers anyway, maybe it's harder with like Housewives and stuff. I think they probably watch it. If you watched it and we're screaming at each other and voting each other out, we're going to kill all of each other. So I would just hope there's a little more unity there. As fun as it was to watch them arguing the turret and Bob the Drag Queen and Boston Rob to go back and forth, they needed more unity because they would have gone farther.
Well, dude, especially when there's 4 of them up there, because you should say, hey, we have 4 votes.
Right. Bingo. You have to think about it that way.
And early on, like
point.
it's hard to really track everybody. So it's not like they're going to be the only 4 for one person. So it's like as soon as there's a little bit of something on somebody, boom, there's 5 votes on that.
Right.
person.
If you think of it like an alliance and voting like in that way, that probably would be a good way to like get some unity there. Yeah.
Just going back to Boston Rob, what he was mad about didn't even make a ton of sense. Like Bob the Drag Queen did sort of say like, hey, the new guys, but like that's just sort of smart talk. That wasn't like, hey, let's get Boston Rob.
Well, Mac, you watched the after show, right?
Yeah.
And Boston Rob basically said that. He's basically I thought that was like a really weighty comment, but everybody else on the show was like, yeah, just to you. Like none of us even noticed it. Like he should have internalized that, like kept an eye on Bob the Drag Queen, but like not gone right after him.
Yeah, and that's how Rob plays Survivor too, is like just really heavy-handed, which you did not need to do in this show.
Right.
Like he could have waited forever. Also, all-time stray caught by Zac Efron during that when he said to Dylan that your brother's not a good actor.
Not a good one. He's like, well, my brother's not a good one. I was like, Jesus Christ. Oh, this is the last thing I'll say. We'll get out of here. Is I'm always so surprised that somebody doesn't get so fucking mad that they like spoil it. I legit thought Bob the Drag Queen, and that's why it was intense. It was great reality television. I thought he was gonna get up there and be like, Rob, Carolyn, and Danielle are all fucking traitors.
Right.
I thought he was like,
I bet it's in the contract that you're not.
It must be.
That.
I'm sure it is. And like, all right, great. You don't win the money. Like you weren't gonna win the money. I just am surprised that doesn't come out. Or
actually, to that point in the reunion, they accused Danielle of tipping Brittany off of her being a traitor. Right. And they were like, no, we signed NDAs. Didn't happen. But you never know.
I heard about that. I saw that on Twitter before.
There would have to be footage of that, though, right?
Right.
Good point.
I find, unless they just had the footage and buried it, but like that, they would have to have footage of that.
I'm also
I don't understand what that would accomplish, right? Like, even if she kept Brittany around till the end, what does that do? Because
No.
one of them has
The
to
word
win.
was like when Danielle was on the chopping block. It was right around that chess challenge. That the report was. She said, "I am a traitor. Don't vote me out now, and I'll recruit you." That's what it was. So
And they
Brittany
voted together.
at that round table wouldn't vote her out, and then the next thing in, she got voted in or recruited. I mean.
And then Brittany goes and says it would be really dumb to recruit me.
But that might just be for the cameras, though. That might
True.
just be throw them off the scent.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
That was a great moment though when she flipped on her at that round table.
I was praying for that, but then she started crying like crazy,
I
and it was
know.
Yeah, she did too much.
I hated Danielle. Danielle did too many fake tears and like
Oh,
shaking.
that was
Like,
tough.
you can't do
Yeah.
that. shit.
The
that
best
was
meme
brutal.
I saw of this was like just like a picture of the round table, and then it's the workaholics meme. I almost died. So good.
Dude, I'm also surprised, and obviously there's a script, but like that Alan Cumming doesn't slip up. Like if I was hosting this show, I for sure would be like, all right, there's 3 traitors left. I mean, fuck. Like, I would definitely slip information. Like he's at the breakfast. It's like, all right, like 2 of them are left. I mean, god damn it. Like
because it's like it's real enough that you don't get a second take. You know.
Oh, you gotta say it because like they're waiting for that information. They don't know what's next. So
Yeah, Scheim did mention actually earlier. I caught that too when they were before Rob got sent out. They were writing someone else's name down, and Alan Cumming got
It was
word
the
in
West.
his
It was
ear.
the West vote
Oh, is
because
that-
it was
okay, it was
West
the
v.
West vote.
Rob, and
And
like
I
they're
guess
all
Alan
writing
was,
West
like,
down.
a little shocked, and they were like, "Hey,
He's like rolling his eyes. He's like, "Oh my god, what are we doing?" And they're like, "Hey, pay attention."
that's really funny. I also loved the dog that they had this season. It looked a
Lala.
lot like Harrow. He's a good-looking guy.
Oh,
Here's
sneaky underrated thing too is every time someone gets murdered, them Alan throwing the picture to the middle
So
of the
good.
floor. I love that.
Great. And he says some bullshit too, like this guy won't be coming to breakfast or whatever. Or like he has like a pun about their like life. It's good. All right, that'll do it for us. Let us know what you guys think about the Traitors at Dork Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. You can email us anytime, dorkpodcast@gmail.com. Next week, it'll be episode 9 of Severance and Invincible. Mac, I saw you watched episode 6. Pretty fucking
Oh God,
heavy.
I was like
surprisingly heavy. Yeah.
kind of jaw dropping, and this season's been great. By the way, I didn't love season 2. I've loved
Same.
this season. I
Yeah.
was a little shook at what happened in episode.
It was good.
6.
It was good. All right, that'll do it. Mac, Jones, Scheim, thank you guys so much. And everybody, thanks for listening. Tell a friend, tell a dork, and we will talk to you soon.
The hashtag Dork Podcast.